Welcome to the Yadusha Show, District 29's favorite podcast. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Yadusha Show. Oh, boy, my name is Ann Johnston Brown. We have a great show for you today. Yadusha, you're on the line, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, boy, we've been having a good time interviewing all of these candidates and friends of ours here in Nevada. And you had a wonderful fundraiser on Saturday. Tell us about that.
It's just been such a whirlwind. So many people came out, showed up, and it was great. So much information was given. And like I said, it was so many people that was taking notes, writing things down, all the excitement. It was just wonderful.
And they were taking notes because you had a weapons expert there who was teaching them how to properly handle and store and carry. And tell us a little bit about Frank.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, me and Frank actually went to school together in high school. So,
Okay, now I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't remember. It was crazy because we were talking about high school, of course, because he's in school. And he was like, I went to Mojave. And I'm like, wait, I went to Mojave.
Oh, my goodness. And did you go at the
Yeah.
exact same time?
We did.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, and you didn't even know each other.
Oh, actually, we did. We actually
Oh.
hung around the same circles. We look different. And it's been some years.
A single father and past vice president of the PTA, Frank Friend's extensive involvement in his community fuels his drive to enhance the educational experience for present and future generations of students and faculty. He is now running for Clark County School Board Trustee District C, and he's here with us now. How you doing, Frank?
I'm good, ma'am. How you doing?
Oh, doing great. I heard you guys, you at least, put on a big show on Saturday. How was that for you?
It was good. I enjoyed it. It was some good, solid company out there.
Wow. Well, we are just grateful that you participated, and I'm sure a lot of people learned a lot from you that day. And Yadusha, I think you want to ask Frank some questions, basically following up on Saturday and just getting an idea of what he wants to do for the community.
Yeah, so number one, thank you again for teaching that course on gun safety to our community, because it was very important. A lot of people were thoroughly engaged, and it was wonderful. So News 5 just reported they found 285 weapons at Clark County School District schools just this year in the last 5 months. What's your take on that, Frank?
Well, I mean, look at it like this. They're only in school for 180 days. So on average, that's a 1.83 or 1.53 weapons found every single day.
Right. That is huge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it goes to the safety of the students and the teachers, too. Those are the ones who are getting assaulted and having these weapons used on them or pulled on them, too.
Week after week, there's a teacher or student being assaulted by kids that shouldn't be in the school. It's so many undisciplined children to the point where they're now holding their aggression out on everybody they encounter. How do you plan to support the teachers that's facing this aggression with students and ensuring that the school district is protected?
Well, I mean, first thing we got to do is open up behavioral schools again and have these children who are having these issues properly diagnosed. I mean, you can't have a disruptive student in a class of 25 ruining the educational experience for the other 24. Not including just the threatening of the teachers and the environment itself. But you got to get that student some actual help. I mean, because it's violence like that at an early age is an outcry for help, and we all know that.
Didn't we just have a substitute teacher and a student go to jail last week?
Yeah, a student assaulted the substitute teacher and used some racial slurs, and the teacher defended himself, and now look where we're at.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate that people don't even want to be teachers no more because they're too scared and they're not getting enough pay.
Oh, well, I mean, that's any environment when you look at it. If you tell somebody not only are you going to be 50 ranked out of 50 for teacher, staff, and student safety, but we're also not going to pay you well either. And then the administration never has their back when they go to report things. You'll hear stories of retaliation from the administration when teachers do report stuff that they should be reporting.
Right. And with us being ranked as one of the lowest performing districts, what immediate actions will you propose to turn the situation around?
Well, like I say, if you change the environment, you'll change the outcome. So first thing, we're going
Right.
to put an armed personnel response on every single campus, not one that's minutes away, but one that's seconds away. Then we need to harden our properties. That means single point entry so that there's no unwanted guests coming to see our most precious commodity, which is our children. We'll protect politicians and banks with weapons and armed guards, but we won't protect our kids because
Right.
people are afraid of it's going to look like a prison to, school to prison pipeline. It's already that. Weapons are already on campus, like you just discussed and covered with the Fox 5 News thing. You have weapons
Right.
on campus now. So we need metal detectors and we need things like that. And people need to stop worrying about how it's going to look, what the aesthetic is, because when you have metal detectors and you have on-site personnel, guess what you don't have? You don't have weapons.
Exactly. And let's just call a spade a spade. Most of
Right.
these new schools look like prisons anyway. Like they're not there to make it look cute and look neat. They're there to learn and be educated. And right now, these kids are not being educated because we have too much agenda in the school.
Oh, absolutely. Like with the agenda, the only thing that needs to be agendized is skills, outcomes, probabilities of outcomes. What's the fastest way to get these children on that track? And there's programs out there that work at other schools. We have teachers that have solutions, and they're not being listened to or heard from the administrative point, which is one of my big things. Is I'm a complete open door policy guy. They can come to me and tell me what they got.
Right. And I'm really big about making sure that all kids are educated, and we can't do it all alone. I'm like, we could do what we can for our kids and the kids around us, but we need to reach every single child as a whole. And I know there's people out there, they're like, yeah, I'm helping this kid, that kid, but what about all the kids?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's what's one of my things that attracted me to your whole ideology is know your rights.
Right.
It's know your education, know the system. If you have a gifted child, why aren't they allowed to test out of classes? It shrinks the class
Absolutely.
sizes. It takes less stress on the teacher, less stress on the administration. That child now has something to look forward to. The parents get more involved because now they're proud of what's going on, and you get that community camaraderie that you're going to need to develop these young minds into the future leaders that we want them to be. Because we're not all going to be around for the next 70 years. We need them to take over.
So when my son, for example, he when he was in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, they were like he's ahead, that he needs to slow down. Not that they could push him a grade ahead or two because he's doing so well. They asked me to stop teaching my son so he could be relatively slower so they could catch up to him.
Yeah, I got a similar experience. So my daughter skipped fifth grade. She's in sixth. She's doing seventh and eighth grade math classes for dual accrediting for high school. She scores off
Wow.
the charts of everything. So she wants to skip seventh grade. And, talking with the principal's trying to have my back and help me find a way and a solution. But the counselor's all like, well, no, your child needs time in seat. I'm like, nah, she doesn't need to sit in class to start hating learning. She needs to be pushed, to enjoy the evolution of her learning instead of staying stagnant and not evolving.
Right. Now, I know there's people out there saying not so nice things about you because of what you stand for. And I just want some clarity on how you're not trying to take away how people feel. You're most less want to get kids learning.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to look at it like this. For a decade or two, we've had nothing but doctrines and degrees in these positions, and we've had a decade of decline because
Right.
everyone's so worried about feelings. I'm worried about statistics and probable outcomes. What's the fastest solution to get out of 50th in safety and 47th in education? Implementing programs that worked in other districts, other countries, other schools. The solution is there. But my problem is it's there, and you don't want to implement it because you're afraid of how a parent will feel or a child will feel, well, they're not feeling good now.
Right.
Children are the most suicidal we've ever had. Children are the most depressed we've ever had. And yet we're the most open to knowledge. And I mean, you have an entire encyclopedia in your hand any given day of the week, but we're the most uneducated we've ever been.
I completely agree. Too many people in their feelings and not focused on the facts of the situation. It's so much going on in the schools that's not being told to the parents, and it's really disheartening.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. I mean, you get situations that occur at these schools, and the parents don't know that they've happened, or they don't suspend a student who was violent because they don't want their star programming, taking a ding. And it's like, it doesn't matter about your program if it's not successful. And it's not successful now. We've seen the outcomes. We know exactly where we stand in the nation, and it's not good. And they're just repeating the process over and over. And that's just the definition of insanity.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And speaking of insanity, there's books in the school that a lot of parents aren't too happy about or they don't even know about, such as a book called Gender Queer.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about books in a school like that?
Well, it's very simple. Who's ever putting that book in the school is putting pornography in the school. There's a difference between sex education and comprehensive sex education and kink education. Kids don't need to be learning about scat. They don't need to be learning about how to pick up somebody on Tinder. That has nothing to do with children. And if you go to buy the book, I believe it's rated NC-17 or something like that. You can't even buy it on Amazon unless you're 17 or older.
Right, but they have it in the schools for these young elementary and middle school children, and my biggest fear is that the wrong kid is going to pick it up and think this is what I'm supposed to do, so this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to tell my parents. I'm just going to tell my teacher, and my teacher is going to keep it to themselves.
Nobody's trying to ban books. If you're 18 and you want to read that book, by all means, go ahead and read it. Learn what it's got in there. Learn that information, whatever you think you may need from it, and gather from it. But the book itself tells you it's not appropriate for people under the age of 17. So don't give access to the people under the age of 17.
And I think if more parents were involved in the school district, maybe a requirement to do something, they will see what the teachers, the admin, and the trustees are trying to do to protect their children. What strategies would you implement to increase parent involvement into the schools?
Well, I would get a complete open door policy going, maybe even a very specific website or messaging system to where parents can go directly to the trustees, even if you're not in their district. If you have a story to tell or you have a question, why not have an answer for it? Why are we going after these books? Well, here they are. Here's a paragraph from the book. I'm not going to repeat it on your show because it's, again, kink education, and I'm not a part of that. And the parents could read it and be like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, well, of course you didn't know. That's why you're asking questions.
Right.
If parents are trying to get involved and all we're doing is shunning them or telling them that they're bad people or they're extremists or terrorists, I mean, then they're not going to get involved. They're going to shut down and they're going to remove themselves from the process. And we need teachers, the counselors, the admins, and the parents to make our students successful. If you want to reach out to me, Frank Friends is my Facebook. You guys can reach out in my district or not. Shoot something to the DMs. I'll answer everybody. Any question you have, I'm not going to duck anything. And then votefrankfriends.com, I believe, is the website I'm building right now. And people can reach me there or invite me to any show or podcast you have. I'll show up for that to inform you, just like I'll show up for your children.
Wow, this is wonderful. Frank, you are an inspiration, and thank you for taking a stand for kids and for parents. And obviously, you do know your stuff and you care enough to run. And so everyone, his name is Frank Friends. He's running for school board, and that's Clark County School District, school board trustee, and it's District C. All right, guys, this has been a wonderful exchange. Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you, Yadusha, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.